Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Today, I am going to address a question that I saw in the Facebook group. The question is your house an asset? Well, let's look at the Black Law Dictionary book. This is a book that most lawyers have. In it, it says that an asset is a financial contract or object with value that is owned by an individual, a company, or a sovereign, which can be used to generate additional value or provide liquidity. Well, a house is a physical object with value that is owned by an individual, company, or government, which can be used to generate additional value or provide liquidity. Therefore, according to their definition, a house is an asset. There are people that were on the board that disagreed with that because they read Robert Kiyosaki's book, which says something different. Robert Kiyosaki says that an asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. Well, a house can put money into your pocket. However, he goes on further to say is that if you have a house, paid for or not, that you live in, then it really isn't an asset. Instead of putting money in your pocket, it takes money out of your pocket in the form of a mortgage, utility payments, taxes, maintenance, and more. Well, I disagree with that part of it. Why? Because all of the things that it takes out, you can report that on your income tax. And that's why you get a higher return than people who are renting an apartment. So that, my friends, to be honest with you, that statement that he made tipped a lot of people off, including the federal government, who has been investigating him for a long time now. So I admit I love his books. It's an eye-opener. I still recommend his books to other people. However, when it comes to that statement that he makes right there, I totally disagree with it. Okay? Now, here's my perspective of where I think Robert Kiyosaki is coming from. I think, and I could be wrong on this part too. I have gone to his seminars, not all of them, just the cheap ones. I have not paid the $25,000 and the $40,000 seminars. I stopped at about 200. Well, anyway, I know that they like to concentrate on investing in the Midwest. The Midwest, the properties there don't appreciate as much as properties on the coast. Also, a lot of times when the economy tanks, their properties go down in value. So that statement would apply to those particular people. Also, the other thing about it is this. There are a whole lot of different strategies and a whole lot of different ways one can make money. And most Americans don't take advantage of all those different strategies and all those different ways in which they can make money on their house. So he's going off of, in my opinion, the average homeowner or the average investor or an investor who's a beginner, not somebody who is seasoned, if you will. So for them, a house might not be an asset, it may be a liability. Okay? But for those of us who are seasoned, for those of us who are a little creative, we know better. Okay? And let me tell you the different ways that another way of looking at it so that you can see my point of view as to why a house is definitely an asset. Okay? First of all, sometimes in many places, mortgage is actually cheaper than the rent. So that's number one. Okay? Number two, many areas of the world, properties appreciate for the most part. Then the next thing is when you own a home, you have a lot more things that you can deduct from your taxes, like depreciation, like if you set up a office in one of the rooms. All of that is tax deductible. When you rent an apartment, you're a little bit limited. Okay? Next, Airbnb. You have to realize that when Robert Kiyosaki wrote his books, he wrote them, most of them, before Airbnb was even a company at all. And yes, if you have an apartment, you can do an Airbnb in some places. That is, if your landlord allows you to, right? But if you have a house, you are your own landlord. So you don't have to answer to anybody else. You can Airbnb any extra rooms that you have in your house, including your attic and your basement. Depending on what the laws are in your county that you live in. You can host foreign exchange students. Go to sparkrental.com and you can apply there. You will definitely get someone, especially if you live close to a college. Some colleges don't have dorms at all. Some of them don't have enough dorm rooms. Nowadays, due to COVID-19, I'm not really sure how much Airbnb and Spark Rental, how good of a business they are doing. I know in the beginning they were hit. I'm not too sure right now the livelihood of those, but those were ways in which people were making money. Another way that people can make money is that you do have companies that pay you to run fiber optic cables throughout your house. Doesn't have to be a multifamily or an apartment building. It can be a single family house. You get paid $1,500 a month just to have a cable in your home. There are people in certain cities like New York and Pennsylvania, Philadelphia and surrounding areas, where homeowners will rent the outside of their home, the wall, to companies so that they can put up signs advertising whatever it is that their company does. There are people who rent out their backyard. Some people go there for camping. Some camping, believe it or not. Some people will build a shed and turn their shed into a guest house, which would be another form of Airbnb as well. In addition, with the backyard, there are people who grow food in their backyard. You don't have to have acres and acres of land in order to grow a couple of vegetables. They turn around, they take the food that they grow, and they sell that food. That house has just produced income. And land normally appreciates more so than the home. Next, here in New York, because space is limited, We have very few places in Manhattan where it's empty land lots. Most of them are already taken and are about to be developed on. And those places that are not, normally there's something wrong with the land, or rather, I should say, the developer does not know how to turn soil. So, what do? I have personally been approached where they have asked me if I would sell them my airspace. In other words, they wanted to build more apartments on top of my roof. They offered to buy my property. I told them no. And then they said, well, would you like to partner with us? And we will build 5 extra floors on top of the property that you already own, because it's cheaper really for them to do that. There are other people who have a bigger backyard, and they'll actually buy the land and add on to the back of your house as opposed to building on top of your home. That's what's going on here. Next, going back to the basement, you have people who finish their basements in such a way that it becomes an event space. Everybody, look, they don't have a whole lot of money. So there are people that will actually have a wedding either in your backyard or in your basement, especially if you have a bar set up already. I know I went to a baby shower in someone's basement out in Brooklyn. So it does happen. Next, places like New York, Georgia, and California, especially Hollywood, you have a lot of filmmakers and film directors. My block has been on several different movie sets. Whenever they come, they pay us. They have to pay extra if we can't park on the street. We have a parking lot. Sometimes they don't want us to park there either, so they have to pay us extra for that. Next, the other people that will pay you are photographers, particularly those who have their shots in magazines or in catalogs. There are websites that you can post your property on. They will either, again, use your backyard or your front yard or your courtyard, whatever you own. They'll even use the inside of your property to film movies or to take photographs of people, and they will pay you to do so. Here in New York, I know there's a place, one house in Queens, and it's one family, and there's another house in Brooklyn that's also a one family, and they get $100,000 a day. Yes, $100,000 a day just to film whatever scenes need to be filmed. One of them was in, I forgot the name of the show that comes on TV. King of Queens. That particular home, that house, plain simple, everything you see there is belongs to the homeowners. They take the homeowners and they put them up in a hotel. And in addition to paying for the homeowner to be in a hotel while they are filming, they get $100,000. Okay, so again, to say that your home can't make money, I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry. Next, there are people nowadays who will use their garage and rent it out for storage, or they'll also use their attic for storage. Sometimes there are some people that will have a separate garage, And they'll either use the top of the garage or the garage itself for storage, or they'll use the top of the garage and turn that into an apartment and make money that way. So again, my friends, as I mentioned, there are too many ways in which you can make a house. You can make money off of your house, which means your house is an asset. The thing is that most people don't know how to go about doing all of that. And there are other things that people are doing too. Now that we have COVID-19, of course, that kind of decreases all of the different ways in which we can make money. But believe it or not, you can still, even during these horrific times, there are ways in which, other ways that I may not know of or have not mentioned, that can put money in your pocket, and you don't even have to have a big apartment building to do it. You can have a single family house and live in that house. You could have a multifamily and live in one of the units and stay there. For me, a house is a hedge against inflation, hard economic times, and yes, to a certain extent, gentrification as well. So guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Hopefully the information that I've shared will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to share this, because each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.